No one saw it coming. The courtroom was silent, every eye locked on Melody Shari as she stood with confidence, holding the very proof that would change everything. In that tense moment, the air felt heavy, every second stretching like an eternity, and when she revealed the shocking evidence, documents, messages, and details no one expected, Martell Holt's world seemed to crumble in front of everyone. The man once known for his control, his confidence, his carefully crafted image, suddenly froze. His expression shifted from disbelief to devastation as the truth he tried to fight against stood before him. Undeniable and raw. The room erupted, gasps, whispers, and stunned faces everywhere. But the most unforgettable moment was Martell himself, silent, broken, unable to hold back the emotion as the reality of Melody's proof hit him like a storm. This wasn't just another courtroom battle. It was the moment truth shattered pride. Viewers around the world are asking, what exactly did Melody reveal that brought Martell to his knees? What secrets came to light that no camera had ever captured before? In this video, you'll see the full breakdown, the shocking evidence, the emotional collapse, and the truth behind the drama that fans never saw on TV. Stay tuned, because once you hear what happened inside that courtroom, you'll understand why this moment has everyone talking. For months, the tension between Melody Shari and Martell Holt has been building like a storm ready to break. What began as quiet whispers of disagreement turned into a full-blown custody battle that gripped fans and divided the public. Their once celebrated partnership, once filled with love, family, and success, has become a battlefield of accusations, emotional interviews, and explosive social media posts. Each side has told their truth, each claiming to fight for what's best. But behind every post and statement, the real story was still hidden. Then came the court date everyone was waiting for. The day that would decide more than custody. It was the moment both Melody and Martell would have to face the truth under oath. And while many expected a routine hearing, what unfolded inside that courtroom was anything but ordinary. Melody didn't come to argue, she came prepared, armed with undeniable proof, the kind that couldn't be twisted or ignored. Documents, evidence, and facts that would finally reveal what had been happening behind the scenes. The atmosphere in the courtroom was electric, lawyers whispering, fans holding their breath. Even Martell's confidence beginning to fade as the weight of what was coming sank in. This wasn't just another legal battle. This was the moment Melody decided, enough was enough, the moment she chose truth over silence, clarity over confusion. And when she revealed her evidence, everything changed. What happened next would leave Martell shaken, the courtroom stunned, and fans everywhere questioning everything they thought they knew. This hearing wasn't just a step in their legal fight. It was the turning point that exposed the real story behind their struggle. And it's one no one will ever forget. The story of Melody Shari and Martell Holt has never been a simple one. It's a saga filled with love, betrayal, heartbreak, and public battles that have kept fans talking for years. Once the picture-perfect couple of reality TV, their relationship began to unravel when infidelity shattered the trust they had built. What started as quiet suspicions soon became public knowledge, with Melody confirming what fans had feared, that Martell's actions had broken their marriage beyond repair. Their breakup wasn't just personal, it played out in front of millions. Cameras captured the tears, the confrontations, and the painful reality of a family falling apart. But while the romance ended, their connection didn't, because they still had children to raise. And that's where the real struggle began. Co-parenting proved to be a battlefield of its own. Both Melody and Martell claimed to have their children's best interests at heart. But their definitions of what's best often clashed. From disagreements over routines and responsibilities to explosive arguments caught in interviews and on social media. Every step of their journey seemed to add more fuel to the fire. The custody fight soon became more than a legal battle, it became a public one, with each side using their platforms to share their truth. Martell made his case to the public, painting himself as a devoted father, unfairly portrayed by media and fans. He argued that he wanted balance, fairness, and a voice in his children's lives. Melody, on the other hand, stood firm in her belief that stability and emotional safety were her top priorities, emphasizing the importance of protecting her children from chaos. As weeks turned into months, the tension only grew. Every new interview, every cryptic post, every court date hinted that something bigger was coming. Something that would reveal what was really happening behind the scenes. Fans began to take sides. Some rallied behind Martell, believing he was fighting against bias and misunderstanding. Others stood with Melody, praising her strength, independence, and refusal to stay silent. The division among viewers mirrored the division between the two themselves, deep, emotional, and unresolved. but no matter which side people supported, everyone agreed on one thing. The truth was still buried beneath layers of claims and counterclaims. That's what made this latest courtroom hearing so important. It wasn't just another round in a long fight, it was the day both would finally have to put their evidence on the table. No more interviews, no more posts, just facts, testimony, and proof. And when Melody walked into that courtroom with calm determination and undeniable evidence, everyone in attendance knew this wasn't going to be just another hearing. This was the moment of truth, the one that would reveal what had been hidden, challenge the stories told in public, and change everything fans thought they knew about Melody and Martell's battle forever. The moment the courtroom had been waiting for arrived when Melody, Shari, calmly stood, her attorney by her side, holding a thick folder of documents that instantly shifted the energy in the room. Up until that point, Martell appeared composed, confident, even his body language, suggesting he believed he could argue his side, as he always had. But the second Melody began to speak, everything changed. Her voice was steady, her expression firm, but there was a quiet power in her tone that made the entire courtroom lean in. She didn't rely on emotion alone, she came prepared with receipts. One by one, her attorney presented evidence that left no room for doubt. Documents, screenshots, financial records, and even recorded messages that directly contradicted Martell's earlier statements. Each piece of proof told a story that exposed inconsistencies, highlighted broken promises, and revealed behaviors that painted a very different picture than the one Martell had been presenting to the court. As the evidence unfolded, the atmosphere shifted dramatically. You could feel the air grow heavier. Lawyers stopped whispering. The judge's eyebrows furrowed in focus, and even the gallery of spectators sat frozen in silence. Every time a new document was displayed, quiet gasps echoed across the room. It wasn't just about the facts, it was about what they revealed. At one key moment, Melody's attorney played a recording that captured a conversation where Martell made statements completely opposite to what he had testified earlier. The words hung in the air like a thunderclap. Martell's face changed instantly, his confidence slipping into disbelief, then panic. You could see him shift uncomfortably in his seat, his jaw tightening as the reality set in that this wasn't speculation anymore, this was proof. Melody didn't gloat, didn't raise her voices, she simply turned to the judge and said, "I didn't want it to come to this, but I can't let the truth be twisted anymore. This is about my children, their safety, and their future." Her words were calm, but carried a weight that silenced the room. The judge paused, visibly moved, and said, "These documents speak for themselves. This changes the context of this case entirely." That one line sealed the moment. It was clear that the narrative had shifted. Martell sat motionless, eyes darting to the evidence before him, realizing there was no argument strong enough to undo what was just revealed. What began as another hearing had turned into a turning point, a reckoning built on truth and undeniable facts. The courtroom, once divided, now watched in collective awe as Melody stood firm, her truth finally laid bare for all to see. The tension, the silence, the shock, it was a moment no one in that room would ever forget. The silence that followed Melody's revelation was deafening. All eyes turned to Martell Holt, who just moments before had been sitting tall, confident, ready to argue his side. But as the evidence settled in, the documents laid across the table, the recording echoing in his mind, something in him broke. At first, he tried to keep his composure. He shifted in his seat, adjusted his tie, rubbed his forehead, desperately avoiding eye contact with anyone in the room. His breathing grew heavier, his jaw clenched tight as he stared down at the papers that told a truth he could no longer deny. You could see the realization wash over him, slowly, painfully, as if each piece of proof was another weight pressing on his chest. Then came the moment no one expected. Martell exhaled sharply, his eyes glistening, his lips trembling. The man who had always prided himself on strength, control, and image, the man who had often fought back with words and confidence, suddenly had none left to give. He lowered his head, his hands covering his face, and for the first time, Martell Holt broke down completely in front of everyone. Tears spilled freely as his shoulders shook. The courtroom frozen in stunned silence. Even those who had judged him harshly couldn't look away from the raw humanity unfolding before them. This wasn't a man arguing a case anymore. This was someone realizing that the truth he'd tried to manage, to spin, had finally caught up with him. For years, Martell tried to control the narrative through interviews, through social media, through charm and confidence. But in that courtroom, the truth shattered his defense. There were no cameras to edit, no headlines to twist, just facts, laid bare, undeniable. Some in the gallery looked away, uncomfortable with the sight of a once proud man now broken by the weight of his choices. Others whispered softly, unsure whether to feel pity or justice. The judge allowed a pause, letting the moment breathe, the emotion settle. Even Melody, standing firm and composed, couldn't ignore the humanity of the moment. The man she once loved, now unraveling before her eyes. Outside the courtroom, the reaction was instant. Social media exploded, Twitter threads filled with sympathy, others with scorn. Some fans wrote, "You can only hide for so long, the truth always wins." While others said, "No one deserves to break like that. He's still a father, still human." TikTok flooded with clips analyzing his body language. YouTube commentators dissecting every second of his collapse. For some, it was the moment of reckoning they felt was long overdue. For others, it was a heartbreaking reminder of how far this once powerful couple had fallen. But one thing was certain, Martell's breakdown wasn't just emotional, it was symbolic. It marked the end of denial, the collapse of an image carefully built, and the beginning of a truth he could no longer outrun. In that courtroom, the masks slipped, and what remained was not the confident man from television, but a father, flawed and exposed, facing the full weight of truth in himself. The courtroom may have fallen silent after the verdict of truth, but the internet roared to life like a wildfire that refused to die down. Within minutes of the news breaking, Twitter lit up, timelines flooded with disbelief, shock, and endless opinions. Fans, bloggers, and reality TV commentators couldn't stop talking. It wasn't just a court hearing anymore. It had become the moment of the year in the love and marriage, Huntsville universe. Tweets poured in by the second. Some fans cheered Melody on, declaring this her ultimate victory. Justice for Melody. She stood tall, she spoke the truth, and she finally set herself free. One user posted, their words echoing across thousands of retweets. Another fan wrote, "Melody didn't just win in court, she won back her peace." Proof always speaks louder than pride. But not everyone was celebrating. Others turned their attention to Martell, urging empathy even in the face of his collapse. "Yes, he made mistakes," one tweet read. "But no one deserves to break like that. He's still a father, still human. Maybe this is his moment to change." Discussions split the fandom into two camps. Those applauding Melody for her strength and truth, and those urging compassion for Martell's visible pain. Even celebrity bloggers and gossip accounts jumped in, fueling the conversation with teasers like "Inside Melody's shocking courtroom proof" and Martell's emotional collapse. Fans divided, comments sections turned into battlegrounds, with thousands debating whether this was Melody's justice or Martell's downfall. For longtime followers, the moment was bittersweet, the culmination of years of speculation, drama, and heartache. Some saw it as Melody's vindication, others as Martell's reckoning, but no one could deny it. The world had just witnessed one of the most raw, emotional, and unforgettable moments in reality TV history. The truth was finally out, and the internet wasn't letting it go anytime soon. One moment changed everything. What began as a routine courtroom hearing transformed into a powerful reckoning. A day when truth stepped out from the shadows and demanded to be seen. Melody Shari's calm confidence, her undeniable proof, and the strength behind her silence turned the courtroom into a stage where every lie, every excuse, and every denial finally crumbled. And in the center of it all stood Martell Holt, a man who had spent years trying to control the story, now forced to face the truth he'd been running from. The weight of that moment could be felt by everyone present. It wasn't just about custody papers or legal arguments. It was about the unraveling of years of pain, mistrust, and pride. It was about a woman reclaiming her voice and a man finally seeing the consequences of his actions laid bare before him. No lawyer could soften it. No statement could spin it. It was real, raw, and heartbreaking. For Melody, this day wasn't about revenge, it was about clarity. It was about standing up, not just for herself, but for her children, her peace, and the truth that had been buried beneath layers of drama and denial. For Martell, it was the moment when the mirror finally reflected what he'd tried so hard not to see, that the truth, no matter how painful, always catches up. As the gavel echoed and the hearing ended, the courtroom didn't feel like a place of victory or defeat. It felt like a place of reckoning where two people who once shared love now faced the lessons that love left behind. Outside, the world debated and dissected, but for those inside that room, the emotion was undeniable. This wasn't just a legal battle, it was a chapter of heartbreak, accountability, and truth unfolding in full view of the public. In the end, this story is more than headlines and it's about the fragility of trust, the strength it takes to stand in truth, and the reality that even the most powerful fall when the truth finally comes to light. For Melody and Martell, nothing will ever be the same again because once the truth is spoken, there's no going back. What do you think? Did Melody Shari just win the battle for truth once and for all, or was this moment simply too heartbreaking for everyone involved? Was this justice, or the painful price of honesty finally revealed in public? I want to hear your thoughts. Was this the closure Melody needed, or the breaking point for Martell? Drop your opinion in the comments below and let's talk about it, because this story has shaken everyone who's followed their journey from the start. If you felt the emotion of this moment, hit that like button. It lets me know you want more deep dives into the truth behind these powerful stories. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications, because trust me, this isn't over. Martell's next move is already in motion, and when it happens, it's going to shock everyone all over again. Stay tuned, because here, we break down the truth behind every headline, every emotion, and every twist that reality TV can't show you.